Welcome to The Explainer. You know, it feels like the world is getting more unpredictable by the day, right? So, how do you actually prepare for that? That's what we're digging into today. We're talking about practical resilience. And this isn't about paranoia or doomsday prepping. It's about a logical, smart response to the world we live in. Okay, so here's the roadmap for today. First, we're going to break down what modern conflict actually looks like. Then we'll get into the bedrock stuff, your survival foundation. After that, it's all about modern financial and digital defense. Then we'll talk about why skills are kind of the new currency. And to wrap it all up, we'll cover how to master the mental game, which might just be the most important part. All right, first things first, if you want to prepare for something, you've got to know what you're actually up against. And let me tell you, the threats we face today, they're a whole different ballgame compared to the conflicts of the past. Yeah, see, the whole idea of what war is has totally shifted. We're not just talking about tanks and trenches anymore. Today's battlefield, it's often invisible. We're talking cyber attacks, massive supply chain disruptions, economic games, all things designed to slowly and quietly undermine everyday life for all of us. And just think about that for a second. A cyber attack can cause massive, real-world chaos, and not a single shot has to be fired. They're aimed right at the things we take for granted. The power grid, water systems, you name it. The invisible stuff our entire society runs on. I mean, we all got a taste of this during the pandemic, didn't we? Our whole global supply chain is built on this just-in-time model. It's super efficient until it's not. It is incredibly fragile. Something goes wrong on the other side of the planet, and boom, empty shelves at your local supermarket. Okay, so knowing all that, how do we start building that first layer of resilience? Well, we start with the absolute basics, the non-negotiables for survival: food, water, and power. 3 days. That number, it's pretty staggering when you think about it. That's the typical amount of food on the shelves of a UK supermarket at any given time. It's just a brutal reminder of how fast things can go south if that supply chain ever gets seriously interrupted. So, how do you deal with a vulnerability like that? It's not about panic buying or hoarding toilet paper. It's about having a calm, smart plan. Just building up a 2-week pantry of essentials. That's not about surviving the apocalypse. It's about buying yourself time. Time to think, time to adapt, and time to make good decisions when everyone else is scrambling. And the key word here is redundancy. It's all about having backups for your backups. Think about it. A power outage shouldn't automatically mean you also lose light, communication, and your source of clean water. When you build these little independent systems, you stop one problem from turning into 5. All right, so once you've got the physical basics locked down, we need to talk about the modern threats, the ones aimed at your financial assets. This is all about making sure you can still operate financially when digital systems are the main target. You know, when it comes to money, true resilience is all about diversification. If you're relying 100% on digital money or 100% on physical cash, you've created a single point of failure. Each one has its place, for sure, but as you can see, they each have a major weakness in a crisis. Honestly, one of the best things you can do right now is to kind of adopt what you could call a wartime posture with your budget. Trim your expenses down to the essentials, get rid of that nasty high-interest debt. Basically, you're building a much stronger financial foundation for yourself. That gives you options and flexibility if things get shaky. You really have to start thinking of your digital life the same way you think about your home. You wouldn't leave your doors and windows unlocked, right? Well, using strong, unique passwords and turning on multi-factor authentication everywhere you can, that's the digital version of locking up. It's not just a good idea anymore, it's absolutely essential. Okay, let's shift gears to what might actually be your single most valuable asset. And it's not something you can buy. It's skills. It's the knowledge in your head that becomes real currency when all the other systems we rely on start to wobble. And history shows this again and again. When things get really tough, it's not about what you have, it's about what you can do. Knowing how to fix things, grow things, or heal people, that becomes a currency all on its own. It's valuable to you, and it's incredibly valuable to the people around you. And look, you don't have to become a master of all of these things. Just getting good at one or two can completely change the game. It takes you from being vulnerable and dependent to being resilient and useful. You become a contributor, not just a spectator, when things get real. And that brings us to our last section, but it might be the most important one, and it's the one people overlook the most: mastering the mental game. Because let's be honest, all the food and gear in the world won't do you any good if you can't handle the stress and uncertainty of a real crisis. This quote here from Eloise Skinner, a psychotherapist, really hits the nail on the head. It's about taking that big, vague cloud of anxiety and breaking it down. What are you actually afraid of? Is it the uncertainty, the loss of control? Once you can name it, you can make a plan to deal with it. It becomes manageable. So these things on the screen, they're not just fluffy self-care tips. They are practical, grounding techniques. Sticking to a routine, getting some exercise. These things build the emotional stability you need to stop fear from just spiraling out of control. And that kind of mental prep, it's every bit as important as having a stocked pantry. And really, that gets to the absolute core of what this is all about. Taking practical, logical steps is the best antidote to anxiety there is. Seriously. Every can you add to your pantry, every new skill you learn, it takes that feeling of helplessness and turns it directly into confidence and a sense of control. So at the end of the day, this isn't about building a bunker and hiding from the world. Not at all. It's about building a stable, capable, and resilient life that's ready for whatever comes its way. And that kind of leaves us with one last question to chew on. In this complicated, sometimes fragile world we live in, what does being truly self-reliant actually mean to you?